Well, good morning. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Today's message is a public service announcement for you and your friends that happen to be single. This is the true account of someone who's in my ministry, and I'm sharing this with you so that you don't ever go through anything like this. Now, this woman of God met a man. It's really that simple. She met a man through Telegram, and she was going about her business, believing God for a husband. She's a widow, mid-60s, nearing her 70s, and is approaching that time where she would enjoy the company of a man in matrimony. And so here comes this man in Telegram in the direct message. They start to communicate back and forth. She's enjoying the moments of it. He then suggests that they move to Signal and communicate through Signal. I'll cover all of these as we go along, but this is the account. They start communicating. He's on a military contract somewhere in the Middle East, and so he can't see her face to face until he gets his leave approved, and then he wants to come and meet her. So in the course of their conversing, they talk about many things that people talk about when they're getting to know someone, and she was looking forward to the time that they would meet. And then he couldn't get his leave, and then she never heard from him again. She was unaware of what it was that she did, and she was devastated because she fell in love with this man and was really believing God that this would be moving towards the place of marriage. She couldn't understand how someone would just disappear, and she did not tell him that she was looking at him as a spouse, but was very, very hopeful because it had been quite some time since her husband had passed. Now, I explained to her that she did nothing wrong, and then I asked her what led up to him leaving or disappearing. And she didn't know. She said, I don't know what happened. So I asked her, at any point, did he ask you for money? And she says, yes. I followed up, did you give it to him? And she says, well, I'm a widow. I didn't have cash to give him. I said, okay. She says, but he explained that because of where he was, he couldn't get access with ATMs, and that he could send me checks if I could cash the checks for him. And I said, okay. And she says, well, I received the checks and I went to the bank and I cashed the checks. Okay, and then how did you get the money to the man? Well, he shared with me the kiosks to go to where I could get crypto and then send it to his wallet. I said, okay, so explain that process. She had the cash. She went to one of the kiosks, had to show her driver's license with her face as part of the ID verification, and then she purchased all the crypto with all of the money and then sent it to him. And I said, okay, what happened after that? She said, well, he told me that he received it. Okay. And she said, I thought everything was good. I said, okay, and then what? And then she said that later he sent her a text that he couldn't get his leave, and so he didn't know when he would be able to see her and that he would be in touch. And she never heard from him again. And then that's when she said it was her life savings. And she didn't understand what happened, confused as to, did she not hear from the Lord? She thought that this man was a good man. She couldn't understand how he could do this to her, and just absolutely devastated. Now, I don't want this to happen to anyone that you know and love. And so here's how the scam works. Someone will contact you, and maybe you may be in an online dating site, or maybe you are not on a dating site. But if somebody contacts you through a social media app or site, you have to pay attention right there. Now, here's the next part of it. She was believing God for a spouse, but okay, and Telegram is encrypted to an extent. When you move in Telegram in the direct message to message, both parties have to reset their settings for it to be encrypted. Otherwise, it's not, and a lot of people don't know that. So the scammers will want to move to Signal because it's automatically encrypted, and then they've got a completely separate profile from the one that they created, probably with the fake different phone numbers, so that there's no attachment from them being there and them being over here. So that's one thing, or two things. Now, the next element is that she believed he did not have on the military uniform, but he was, quote, military. Now, when someone's in the military, they're either enlisted in the military or they are not. If someone is a military contractor, most of the time they are a civilian with the military contract. So the contract will end, and then they re-sign a contract. An enlistment would be somebody that enlists in the military. So you have to understand, if somebody ever tells you where they're at military, you want to ask, well, are you enlisted in the military or a contractor? Because those are two very different things. She was unaware of the separation of the two. Now, a lot of times the picture of the person is not actually that person. I will explain. Years ago, I received an email from someone in Facebook who said, "Oh, you're very pretty," and I said, "Your eyes are great, and your eyes, you have great eyesight." And looking at, knowing that this was a con. How would I know this is a con? I'm being a little facetious here, but I knew it was a con because the picture that the man was using was a military man. Okay, that's fine, except that particular man was the most recent bachelor. Don't know the guy's name, but he was the most recent bachelor, and he would not be instant messaging me on Facebook. Like that didn't even equate. And so I kept interacting with him to gather more information, and then I sent it to Facebook. I sent it to the gentleman, whoever he was. I also sent it to his agency, as well as to the announcement in Facebook and other social media sites. Look, someone is using this gentleman's identity. This is not this person. Ladies, be aware and alert. Don't get excited because some guy in a uniform says you're pretty, because you are already pretty, without a con artist telling you so. So that, when they use the image of someone in the military, you have to be very well aware of that. Now, if it does happen, you can always take the image, download the image, go to the dark web, and then scan it through, and you can find out a whole lot of information, and most likely it would be separate information from what's being presented. So she was unaware that people are taking other people's images and using them as their own. This is different from AI. This is just someone who absolutely is soulless and wretched in every way. So she fell in love. When I explained to her, you fell in love with an image of someone, but whom you're speaking to is not that person. It's not the same person. So the image of what you were interacting with is not this over here. It's not real. So she questions, she's like, so it's all fake? Yes, this is part of the con. They'll use an image, and normally they don't pick somebody ugly. They'll pick someone military because it's a perception that military men and women are more trustworthy. They'll build upon the emotional capital that they gain, and then they gain your trust. They will then get you emotionally connected, and then in comes, in the Middle East, I can't get on leave. I look forward to seeing you. Can you help me out with a couple of dollars? Which ends up really not being a couple of dollars in this case, or in many cases. And so if you are naive or ignorant or unaware of what it is, then you would not have a clue. Sit down, Tulip. And so in that not having a clue, you would not know what is exactly happening. And so the next part of it is the idea that, well, I'm going to be meeting this person. Well, they're never going to be able to go on leave because they're not going to meet you, because they have no intentions of meeting you. The whole con is to get your money. So who are these people, and who is she interacting with? Well, most likely it is not really the person at all. And there are places like data centers that actually have many people working in them. They're in the Philippines, they are in Germany, they're in the Middle East, and they are data centers where people sit in front of a computer and all they do is interact with people that are on dating sites or in the apps. So the person unsuspecting is thinking that they're interacting with the person in the picture because that's what's being presented, not knowing that it could be a 30-year-old woman, it could be an 18-year-old boy, it could be anybody. You would have no idea whom you are interacting with or building a relationship with that you think you're building a relationship with. So if you are ever contacted and somebody uses military stuff, which I still get these, and there's liars. Really, I just put you down. They are liars, and you have to be aware. So if they come around you and they ever ask for your money, the answer is no. Okay, do not fall prey. There's the movie The Tinder Swindler. Find it anywhere but Netflix, because Netflix likes to groom children. Find that. You can see that's a true story. Or Dirty John, that too was a true story with I don't remember what her name was, beautiful woman in Orange County or Newport Beach. And all true of how some of the scams work. But this is where if somebody emails you and they are using a military picture, start asking for other pictures. If they are military, ask questions, and do not ever give your address. Do not ever give your bank account number. Do not give a copy of your driver's license. Do not cash checks for or from anyone. Do not. This woman lost her savings, and it's very, very devastating, and I don't want it to happen to you or anyone else. Now, and also the final thing, do not use Zelle to transfer any money. Just when it starts getting to that stage, you need to know that is a con. And ladies, know this. No man, whether a godly man or not, no man will ever ask you for money. Any man that comes around asking you for money is not a man, and you are not going to get played. The answer to them is no. Just no. So as you are going forward, if you are single, stay prayed up, have prayer partners, do your vetting, make certain that your emotions do not take over. Probably should teach some more stuff about how to maneuver through dating in these times, because it's not like it was during the Depression, and it's not like it was in Proverbs, and it's not like it was in the 80s or the 90s. They say it's a jungle out there, but this is a lot different, and you have to be aware and alert. Now, don't let it discourage you. God has wonderful people out there and the wonderful person for you. Do not be discouraged, but be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. Be aware, be in prayer with the Lord. Pray for an increase in discernment as you go forth. And those of you who are married, stay praying for the single people, because single people are in need of prayer for that right spouse, for hearing from God, and so that they just don't get scammed. I mean, these are the times that we are in. So I pray that this helps you, and I'm sure some of you watching this have experienced your stories as well. And if you've been in dating for any point of time, you know that the things are out there. I mean, I remember the guy that told me that he skied for the United States Olympic ski team, and he was in town. And when I met him, he kind of forgot to mention that it was the Paralympics. You know, I don't know how he wouldn't think that I wouldn't catch on that he didn't have any limbs, but hey, people do what they do, and you got to be aware and alert. So be safe out there. Stay loving. Keep your money in your places where you keep it, not in the banks, but keep your money, and be wise as you go forth. Love is in the air, for Christ is with us. God bless you. We do pray daily at the 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so you can join us in prayer. You can just visit us at julieblairministries.org. Have an amazing day. This is Baby Tulip. We're signing off today. Truffles is over there. So God bless you. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.